Hey, welcome collectors of all ages. This is Mike with Jayhawker Vintage Cards, and I'm super stoked. It is Friday night, August 22nd, and I got my mowing done, and I am going to get up early in the morning, and I'm going to head from basically the Kansas City area down south to Oklahoma City to hang out with my buddy Rusty of Rusty Vintage Cards. And I think one of his friends is going to hang out there with us, and we're going to go to a card show in Oklahoma City. Now, I was thinking, who are some great guys, great players who came out of Oklahoma? So I started looking at that a little bit, and I knew some guys. There's a guy behind me you might have heard of that's probably the most famous player from Oklahoma. But there's some other guys I was aware of. And I'm going to just show you some cards. I'm not going to talk a lot about them. Most of you will know who they are. If you aren't familiar with them, I highly recommend that you learn a little bit about these guys because they're really good ball players. But there's two guys I'm going to start off with that I did not know were born in Oklahoma. Now, one was raised and lived in Oklahoma. Another one moved away when he was pretty young. So I'm going to start with him since he lived there the least amount of time. And that is Pops, Wille Stargell. Again, I'm just going to show you some cards I have of these guys. So there's a 77 Topps, Wille Stargell. There's a 76 Topps, Wille Stargell. He's got some really cool cards. 75 Topps. And there's a 74 Topps. And then I only have two cards of his from the 60s, so at some point I need to get some more. This was one of the first cards I got as a kid. First vintage cards, and it's not this one, but I wanted to pick this up when I got older because it just reminded me of being a kid. So there's a really nice 67. Hold that up there. Look how young he looks there. And then the last one is his second card, which I prefer more than the four-headed beast of his rookie card in 63. But there is his 64. And I'm not a big fan of the multiplayer rookies. I'm not a big fan of the floating heads, but a very affordable way of getting some of these guys is to get their second-year card. I'm a huge, huge fan of second-year cards. But that's just kind of a little of a run of Wille Stargell. Next player I'm going to show. I only have one playing day card of him, but it's a good one. I had no idea that he was from Oklahoma at all. I never would have thought that in a million years. Not only is he in the Hall of Fame, and so is Willie Stargell, but so is this guy's brother that I'm about to show you. Well, here's a 1940 play ball, Paul Waner. Very underrated outfielder. Definitely look him up. He wasn't a slugger. That wasn't his game. But he was good at everything else. High average hitter, cranked out doubles, triples, lots of hits, lots of runs. For a guy who didn't have a lot of power, home run power, a lot of that was playing in Forbes Field. But he also drove in a lot of runs. Definite top tier Hall of Famer amongst the best right fielders of the game. His brother, Lloyd Waner, was a center fielder, and, there was always a joking rumor that the only reason that people voted for Lloyd Waner is they got him confused with his brother because Lloyd Waner is not a Hall of Famer. He's just not. Sorry to say it, Pittsburgh fans, but he's not. Good player. And once you're in the Hall, you can't get thrown out, but there's a lot of other center fielders out there that are not in the Hall of Fame that are more deserving. My guy, Vada Pinson, Willie Davis, little Jimmy Wynn. So anyway, just want to show you those. Now let's get to some guys that most of you probably do know are from Oklahoma. We'll start with, in my opinion, the greatest major league catcher of all time, Johnny Bench. There's a 79 Topps. There's a 78 Topps with the red, white, and blue shield. I always kind of liked that. Thought that was a little bit unique. '77 Topps. I don't like that little all-star emblem near as much as the 78. Don't know about you. And now, this is one of the best cards, best looking cards, I think, in card history. So I think you can know what this is going to be. There's the stud, man. That's badass. Look at that dust. 76 tops. Johnny bench. That's a PSA. And then I've actually got a couple of SGCs, but I'll just show you one. I absolutely love that image. A couple other good catcher images is the 77 Carlton Fisk and the 80 Gary Carter's badass too. There's 75 bench. Another shot you don't see very often on a card. That's a 73 tops. And then this one I just showed in my last video because I just picked it up. It's a 73 Dexter Press postcard. Really cool. Oversized card because it's a postcard, but it's a really cool image. There's a 71. And then one of the best second-year cards of any player. Again, second-year cards are pretty cool. Isn't that beautiful? Man, look how young he is. Love the trophy. 69 tops. And then to me, this is one of the better rookie cards, even though it's a double player, because he's got the hat turned around, just like you would imagine a catcher to have, right? 68 tops. Now, the last two guys I'm going to talk about briefly, because I want you guys to make the effort to look them up because they deserve it. But they're two Native American players that came out of Oklahoma. And they both had careers that started very late, especially this guy. He didn't start in the major leagues till he was 27. Now, if you're a fan of Minnie Minoso, you know that a lot of times people talk about how good his career was. He didn't start in the majors until age 27, and they compare his stats from 27 till the end of his career versus, again, some of the best left fielders of all time. And he's up there. I mean, he's from that age on, he's probably one of the top 5 or 6 left fielders ever. Well deserved to be in the Hall of Fame. So I'm not saying he's not. Absolutely deserved to be in the Hall of Fame. But so, in my opinion, does Bob Johnson. Sometimes called Indian Bob Johnson, sometimes called Cherokee Bob Johnson. He had a brother who played in the major leagues. But he just kind of started into baseball late, and he didn't make the major leagues, not because he wasn't talented. It's just because he just kind of roamed around out west playing in some weird leagues, and it just took him a while to get there, but not because he wasn't talented. So here's some cards I have. Really nice 1940 play ball. Bob Johnson, not once, not one time did he have a bad year. Not once did he have an off year. He just showed up at age 27, played for about 13 years, and just pumped out 100 RBI seasons almost every year. Outstanding offensive player. Hit for average, hit for power, played for some really bad teams. That's a 39 play ball. But look him up and compare his stats from 27 on with a lot of the Hall of Famers, including compare it to Minnie Minoso. I mean, he definitely needs to be in the Hall of Fame. 36 Gowdy wide pen. Huge fan of the Gowdy wide pens. And then I love this one too. Here's a 34 Gowdy Bob Johnson. Look him up. Learn about him. Absolutely amazing offensive player. So consistent. I mean, never had an off year. And you can't say that by about a lot of guys, even some of the all-time greats. Last guy I want to talk about, I'll talk about him a little bit more. And I became known of him, or learned about him from my favorite youth baseball coach by the name of Rob Doherty, who was also Native American, and he taught at Haskell Indian Nations University in Lawrence. And back then, you tried out for little league teams based off your school, and I went to Broken Arrow Elementary School, which abutted Haskell Indian Nations. I think they actually donated that land so that Broken Arrow Elementary School could be built there. But we used to practice, because of Rob's connections, we used to practice on the Haskell fields all the time. And first year that he coached us was in my 6th grade season. We were always just kind of a middle of the road type of team. But he taught us some baseball, and we just took the league by storm. It helped that a couple of guys on the team, including yours truly, hit puberty earlier than a lot of the other boys in town, and so we just raked, man. We were awesome. But Allie Reynolds is, you can argue a case for him for the Hall of Fame. He borderline, because he's really had a short career, 13 years, I believe. And he again started late. He didn't get up until 1925, until the major leagues, and he started out with Cleveland. And he had some good years for Cleveland, but it was Cleveland. And the Yankees brass asked Joe DiMaggio, hey, Cleveland wants Joe Gordon, who's getting older. And they offered up two pitchers, and now I forgot who the other one was. But they asked Joe DiMaggio, hey, who should we pick? And Joe goes, well, I can hit that guy's fastball, but I cannot touch Allie Reynolds. So they traded Joe Gordon for Allie Reynolds, and the rest is history. So Allie Reynolds had a great year, a great career, I should say, with the Yankees. 5 consecutive World Series titles once he joined the Yankees. So it wasn't just the sluggers. They had some decent pitchers, and Allie Reynolds was amazing. The problem for Allie Reynolds was that Casey Stengel was the manager. And Casey, for his first few years of managing the Yankees, was very pedestrian. I mean, he used his pitchers just like anybody else did. But in 1951, 52 especially, he decided to use the pitchers a little bit differently. So he would set starters and have them only pitch against like the great teams for his best starters. Or he had guys like Allie Reynolds pitch in relief. So a typical season, 1952, Allie Reynolds won 20 games, led the league in earned run average with a 2.06 ERA, led the league in shutouts with 6, but he also had 6 saves. So if you look at his baseball reference, you'll see that he started a lot, but he didn't start games a lot. So he pitched a lot, but he didn't always necessarily start the number of games that you would expect of a starter, because Casey Stengel used him in relief a lot, including the World Series. Now, Whitey Ford has won the most games of any pitcher in the World Series with 10. Tied for second with some other pitchers is Allie Reynolds with 7. So again, outstanding pitcher, and I could make a case for him to be in the Hall of Fame. I'm not really advocating for it, but I think he belongs. So let's run through some Allie Reynolds cards. There's a 55 Bowman. Beautiful card. Just a gorgeous card. This one's, I think, interesting. This is this 54 Bowman, and the reason this one's interesting to me, so Rob's son was a great friend of mine growing up, named BC. Well, his real name was Bryson Curtis. He hated that name, so he always went by BC. And he had a nickname, and how he got his nickname was that when we had a scoliosis test in junior high, the teacher said, "What's your name?" And he goes, "BC." And she goes, "No, can you spell it out for me?" And he said, B.C. rather than Bryson Curtis. So from that point on, we called him Dots, and that name has stuck forever. But I like this card because they look like twins. If I showed you a picture of BC and this picture of Allie Reynolds, they look exactly alike. It's so cool. And then here's an absolute gorgeous card from a gorgeous set. Come on, look at that. Is that beautiful? 53 Bowman. Look at the background. Look at the stadium. That's beautiful. Here's a card, my first Allie Reynolds that I had as a kid, and which you can tell because I wouldn't buy a card this off-center. This is like 99-1. It's on the centering. That's a 51 Bowman. So I might be on the lookout for that card. Plus, I had a 53 Topps and a 52 Topps. And I had those when I was a kid, but I sold them when I sold at shows. So tomorrow, I just have a feeling there might be some Allie Reynolds down there in Oklahoma. So I'm going to be on the hunt for those. And then the last two are two of my favorite cards. And I just picked this one up. Thanks to Chris from Missouri, who let me throw this in the deal he was making. But the beautiful 49 Bowman. Beautiful. Love that card. And then the rookie, 48 Bowman. So by the time you see this, I've made some changes of some plans. So I was just going to go down there and turn around and come back tomorrow night. But I just figured with my back that might be a little bit too much. So Ross from Ross Love Cards, we were in a chat with Joe, Redneck Collector, last night, and Matt Straight Race Cards hopped on there, and Ross threw out, oh, and so did Rusty Vintage Cards, who I'm going to go hang out with tomorrow. But Ross threw out, maybe before those other two guys were on, that, hey, Mike, on the way back from Oklahoma City, you should make a little detour to the east and go to see this guy's birthplace. So I'm going to do that. And so I kept this kind of short, a little bit longer than I thought it was going to be, but the next time you see me, I'm going to splice together some images from the show, and then part 2 is going to be more on this guy, because I think the hobby is due for a little bit of discussion. Mickey's been getting beat up a little bit by people who don't understand why he's the Mick, but I'm going to tell you why he was. All right, I am here at the show down in Oklahoma City. Never been here before. Pretty wide open space. It should be pretty easy to get through. So I'll see what they have. It's hard anymore to just get stuff online, because then you got to pay all the shipping and all that stuff too.
Shipping, taxes, and stuff.
And then you can't see any of those little imperfections. They try not to show all that sometimes.
It's another reason I'm trying to go to more shows, so I can look around and try to buy stuff or trade.
Hard for it, so.
It's a self-sustaining hobby for me.
Well, you know, I still view it as a hobby. I do it for fun. I know there's a big business aspect, especially for the newer cards, but I mean, I do this all for fun. You got some really nice stuff.
Thank you. I like vintage cards, and then autographed baseballs are my other vice.
Do you sell like on Instagram or anything like that?
I list a little bit on eBay, but then I'll sell some on the Facebook groups. Just for, you know, I've got my.
How's it going? We have that kind of relationship.
We do too.
Say hey, Rusty.
What's up?
Rusty just got here.
Just got here. Ready.
All right, so I am at the hotel, and I will say that the show was pretty good. I got a lot of cool stuff. Now, I didn't get the main thing I was looking for, which was the 1970 Kellogg's 3D baseball. Didn't see a single one. kind of figured that was going to be the case. What kind of surprised me is I didn't see a single Allie Reynolds, but I did pick up some things, and I picked up, I picked up some cards that I was hoping to find, and they were a little bit lower on my list, but I found some beautiful cards and very, very happy. Did meet up with Rusty and his friend Alan. They picked up some really interesting stuff too. I'm sure Rusty will show that on his video. But I'm going to show you what I picked up. So there's an older gentleman there by the name of Ralph. And he had some cards I'd never seen, never heard of before. And I just absolutely think it's a really, really cool item. So I will show you and start with that. So this is a 1941 St. Louis Cardinals team issued set. W754. And that is Enos Country Slaughter. So I had to look these up just to see what the heck they were. It's really cool. He had a lot of the cards out like this for sale. He didn't have the Musial, which I'm sure would have been pricey. But I looked him up. I think I got him for a really cool price. But here's the kicker. This is what's really cool. He had the box that the set came in. And I asked him, hey, how much would you sell the box for? And he really didn't want to. He goes, well, that's the last box I have. And I said, well, actually, you don't. There's another one in the case. Now, I hate to say this guy was a little bit older. He asked me a couple times if I needed any help, even though I was actually sitting there at the table next to him or across from him. But anyway, I was able to get the box from him. So here is the box. And I put it in this plastic thing. So this is the box that those cards came in. So that, again, they were issued as a set. Now you can't really see the back. I'll turn it the right way. But I was able to faintly read the name to who actually these were mailed to, or from. It was mailed to, or mailed from somebody. It looks like it says Blake Harper, but I can't see exactly who it was sent to. But that's really cool. Really cool. So these cards, as you can see here, they would have been in this set. Now, I don't know how many were in the set. I don't know if it says on here, but they were sold for 25 cents. Now, on top of that, he had way back in one of his display cases, this beautiful 1964 Topps coin. And he only had 30 bucks on it. I don't know how well you can see it, but it is just beautiful. The back has just maybe a little bit of damage, but for the price, which gets even better here, I couldn't pass this up, especially being in Oklahoma and going to Mickey Mantle's Boyhood Home tomorrow. But I was sitting there for a while, and I was sitting down because my back really started hurting, which I was afraid it might. And I don't know if he felt sympathy for me, but he just threw the coin in. So I already got him lower on what he was asking for these two items. But I said, well, kind of take a look at that coin. And I was looking at the coin, and he said, just throw that in there. So I got that basically for nothing. Now the cards I picked up, I don't know if I mentioned some of these. I'm sure when I read this or watch this back, but I picked up some cards that I've been looking for, and I was looking for well-centered examples. Didn't really care too much about the corners or things like that, but I found some really nice cards that I've been wanting in my collection. And the first one here is a 1951 Bowman Duke Snider. So you can see that for those of you who care, but hopefully the glare is not too bad on that. But that's just a beautiful card. Registration is outstanding. Centering is really good. Man, I love that card. I'm very proud to have that one. Pick that up down here. Next card is another beautiful centered card. This is a 1952 Bowman Stand the Man Musial. Again, I really, really like the centering on that card. Just a beautiful example. Registrations are just perfect, around his face. Love that card. I'm very happy to pick that one up too. I picked up some beauties, considering I really didn't know what I was going to get. Now, this last one is a card I've been wanting to get for a long time, but I haven't found an example of one that I really wanted to spend the money on. but I did today. So I got this beautiful 1961 Topps Mickey Mantle. Pretty good centering, but for the price I got it for, I couldn't pass it up. This is a card that I used to have, and I used to have just an outstanding example. It was part of the cards that my dad bought me for $0.25 all those years ago in that stack of 61s that were in the sack. But I said sold this one, and they're pretty pricey, especially for somebody on my budget, but I couldn't pass this up. I looked for this and saw a couple of different ones at the show. This actually had the best centering of any of them at the shows, even the ones that had higher grades, and so I couldn't pass this up. And I will never need to upgrade any of these. So when I buy something, I won't buy a card that I think that I might someday want to upgrade. That's just not what I do, and I haven't done it since I got back into collecting during COVID. So again, let's show these real quick. Beautiful card. Love the 61s. A lot of people don't, but I do. A lot of sentimental value for me. And there's that Bowman stand, the man. The Duke. The Duke is going to be featured on an upcoming video I'm going to have. Beautiful card. And then once more, 1941 set. I think it's the W754. That's Enos Country Slaughter. And there is, again, the box that those come in. And last but not least, although it was price-wise, because it was just tossed in, 64 Mickey Mantle coin. So anyway, that was my pickups. I had a fun time hanging out with Rusty and his friend. We didn't get to hang out really after the show because I had to come to the hotel and lay down. So I've been laying on my big cold pack for a while. So now I'm getting up. Gonna watch my KU Jayhawks. So they are opening up the college football season, and luckily it's on Fox, so I will be able to see it. In fact, I see them right now on the TV. They're running down on the field, so I'm gonna cut this short. Had a great time, and tomorrow, well, this is the end of part one. Tomorrow, I'm going to be leaving Oklahoma City. I'm going to be driving to the Northeast to meet the boyhood home of one Mickey Charles Mantle.